curtains, 1983, when a group of actresses go to a director's mansion to audition for the role of a lifetime. Their time in life might run out when a masked killer starts targeting them and killing them. 3-year filming was in the Muskoka and Toronto, Ontario, Canada area, with the Muskoka district being a sweet boating, fishing, golfing, outdoor hiking, ice skating, honeymoon adventure, and a half, folks. It's good times up in the Muskokas. John Vernon from Dirty Harry and Killer Clowns from Outer Space fame plays director John Stryker. Linda Thorson from the TV show Avengers, not that Avengers, the other Avengers, and Half Past Dead fame plays Brooke. Samantha Eggar from Disney's Hercules and The Collector plays Samantha. And Lynn Griffin from You Got It, Black Christmas 1974 and Strange Brew plays comedian Patty. And a big shout out to Ann Ditchburn and Leslie Donaldson and the stunt double for the ice skating. And another big shout out to Leslie for hurting herself skating due to the fact that she couldn't actually skate, but gave it a shot anyways. And another side secret shout out to Michael Wincott as Matt, the caretaker, snowmobile driver, hot tub guy. You might know him from Alien Resurrection and the Crow movie. Music and soundtrack is as generic as it comes. It's a Hitchcock sort of slow piano, violin, horn thing, and then goes to fast pace, almost sporadic, when the tension is rising and turned up to 11, and the killer is about to strike. Still good, still legit, nothing original. For all the reshoots and rewrites in the 3 years of this movie and production crap hole that it went through, the pace and tone for me was indeed good. Nothing too badly edited or slapped together for me, with some nice character builds and foreshadowing. Speaking of that, Rich Kipka directed and filmed almost an hour of the movie before disagreeing with producer Pete Simpson and eventually being scared off by Samantha Eggar, the lead actress in this film. While Kipka wanted an indie art slasher, Simpsons wanted to make money and commercialize it. One dark and adult, while the other one a lighter tone, teen-friendly and not too deep. Simpson took over the directing for the rest of the film, which included a crap ton, and I do mean a crap ton, of additional scenes and rewrites that were never actually used in the final cut of the film. A big special thank you and shout out to old Bobby Guza Jr., because not only did he write the script, but then he rewrote his own script over and over again for the 2 different visions of this film. He stuck with it till the very end, and I tip my hat to that. At the end of the day, the movie was made, and John Stryker took credit for directing the film. Yep, It's that very same John Stryker that was the made-up fictional director in the flick. No one wanted to take credit for directing this film. Set designs and quality for such a troubled production of 3 years is, to me, great. Creepy killer stalking, kill scenes, camera tracking, the gory effects, and acting, yes. There are great professional actors and actresses in here, and they're very well vetted and they're awesome. Hold well and makes the movie watchable and enjoyable. Okie dokie, this is the spoiler half of the video, and let's see if I don't have to go so long as the Christmas one I did, because that's like almost a half an hour, and I felt it was too long, but whatever. I like talking about it, so I'll probably like talking about this too, and it'll probably go for half an hour as well, and I'm not gonna rewrite or cut it up like this movie had to be cut up. Hey, zing, got him, right? Nah, never mind. This movie was surprisingly good to me. When I actually started doing research for it and reading about it, and you know, as you do research for it, you get people's reviews and ideas of what they think it is and how good it is. It was mixed. It's mixed now because it's a cult favorite, and a lot of people in the past, when they first reviewed it, hated it, thought it was the worst movie ever. And then there's a bunch of people now that support it, love it, think it's great. There's a lot of messages in there and a lot of foreshadowing and of what is revealed in Hollywood and stuff like that. And there's still a couple of reviews that I noticed recently that of people don't believe in that whatsoever, that they think this is a troubled shoot, troubled production, and it shows on film. To me, it didn't. It didn't at all. When I look at horror movies and slasher horror movies like this, I look at it the same way as the really good ones, where it's it's all good to me. The reason why it's all good to me is I just don't take it seriously. I'll never take slasher horror movies too seriously, and the ones that are serious and are good, it blows me out of the water of how good it is. so stuff like this, it didn't affect me. So my point of view, my view on it is still light. It's still positive because of that. But it's not without a few questionable scenes in this movie. Almost immediately, there's a scene where the actress is in a mental ward. There's a lot of serious scenes in here, and a lot of good. Mental health is nothing to be joking about. To not take too lightly. And a lot of these movies, slasher horror flicks, you know, they kind of take a goofy look at mental wards and insane asylums and mental health in general. And they don't make fun of it, but they kind of go about it out of weird acting and craziness and just insane laughter and goofiness, stuff like that. But as the scene went on, and it's only about maybe 5 or 10 minutes of this movie, of her in the mental ward, but there's a point where she says, you know, their laughter is sad. And to me, that's a really important line, because it is. You know, people in general who suffer from mental health have nervous laughter and uncomfortable laughter because they're uncomfortable and nervous. They're at wit's end, and they don't feel like themselves anymore, or they've never felt like themselves, and it's a mental breakdown of sorts. And there's still a couple scenes and actresses that act kind of weird, but for the most part, it's generally a good scene of a mental ward, and the actress Samantha, who goes through this, begins to kind of lose her edge because she's with these people that are suffering from instability. So it's kind of that was kind of a nice touch to see. There's one at the end where, at the end of the day, there's a scene where it's like a tickle scene. It's a weird scene. But there's a couple of things where one person gets dragged away, and then you see there's a big bandage on her head, to indicate that a lobotomy happened, and she's quiet, staring, looking up to the ceiling, and you feel sad. You feel sad for those characters in the mental health ward. So I liked that touch. It surprised me a little bit from the get-go, because all I heard was this is a goofy, dumb movie, and it never made sense. So from that point on, I kind of straightened myself up and was kind of looking at this as more of an artsy film, and I wasn't going to take it with a grain of salt anymore. And then from that point on, there's a really, really weird scene where there's a girl having some wine and reading the script, and she's one of the 6 girls that's going to be invited to the director's mansion. And while she's reading the script and drinking her wine, there's the point of view, the camera POV of this stalker, of this killer, breathing heavily, looking at her through the curtains and all that. And then after a short while, he eventually, crawls in through the window and then comes after her. And when she does, it's a pretty tough scene, because he forces himself on her, and she's screaming and she's crying, and then he reaches for her undergarments, and it gets intense, and it gets a little uncomfortable. And then you find out the reveal is that she wanted this. She wanted to be. It's a weird scene. Like it's a rape scene, but it was rehearsed and fake and planned out. Like the boyfriend was into it, and she says that it's the only way that she likes it. And I was like, oh, come on, like that's not. Don't do that. don't do that. That's nasty. That's nasty stuff, and nobody wants that. I'm positive nobody wants that. Nobody can want that. And even if you're viewing the movie, that's not cool to have that. But the scene went on, and you had to move on from that. So you moved on from that, and it was like after that, I recovered from that bad choice and bad scene, and then eventually it went to the actual mansion of the director, and then you finally get the idea of the stakes of what's happening and what's going down. And then you get the first view of the killer, and that really cool mask that the killer uses throughout the movie. It is a weird old lady rubber mask with this long brown scraggly looking hair, and it is absolutely terrifying. She's got the killer has, spoiler talk, the killers, which is funny enough though, 1983. Those who think that the Scream movie was one of the first movies, or the first movie to do 2 killers. Haha! No, this one used 2. This one was 2 killers at the end of the day, even though they didn't even know that they were both killers. At the end, this was a nice, cool little trick, because I've only seen this once, this being the first time, so it was a nice little reveal to find out that there's 2 killers inside of this film, and it covers a lot of the plot holes a little bit, and the plot points of you thinking that it's the one actress, and then when you notice that she can't be in that possible spot at the time of that killing, and then when you figure out the reveal at the very end there, you're like, yeah, that makes sense, because there had to be 2 killers, because the way that the killings went, and how the one killer was over here at this time talking to this character, and how during the killing there. So it was a nice touch there. But anyways, the old lady mask with the kind of black jumpsuit with the black gloves, and then the various weapons that she uses to off all the other actors, is a really cool image. It's scary, it's intense. Yeah, hands down, that ice skating scene is one of the coolest slasher horror flick scenes I've ever seen, to be honest with you. It's slow motion, it's creepy. The girl that has the doll, trying to use the doll as a form of defense, is schlocky but entertaining. It's cool. It's a cool scene, and the neat thing about it too is it's in broad daylight. Like the sun is out. The pond itself, the ice is crap. It's melting in some spots. There's puddles on the ice. Uneven as hell, this ice, as you see from one point of view as the killer's skating towards her, and it's so bright, but it's so cool because the bright sun really captures the full view, all the details of that eerie mask and that cool killer mask, and it is awesome. So it's cool. And as the killer, as she tries to get away from the killer, she hides behind a tree, and then there's a really cool angle of her being beheaded. That knife, I don't know what it's called, the serrated, curved knife comes out to the camera, and then it comes in, and it's the terror in the eyes of the girl about to be killed. It's a cool scene. All in all, scene at the end or near the end where one of the final girls is trying to get away. Well, not a final girl, because she dies at the end. But as one of the girls trying to get away from the killer, there's a cool scene where the killer's in a little taxi, and then I love that little scene there. I'll put that one up. It'll be in one of the little theater pictures that I put up, because I like that. It was creepy. It was cool. They did a close-up of it, and her kind of running around the fun house, the maze, the movie maze. She finds an axe on the director's chair and all that. She crawls through a vent, and then the old stereotypical, she's in the vent and she sees the killer's feet walking back and forth, and then that nice little trick where she goes to crawl out and somehow, some way, the killer got into the vents from behind her. So literally the killer had to walk away, the killer realized that she was in the vents, so she found another way into the vents, crawled in through those vents, and able to attack her and drag her deep into the vents and kill her. Which is, hey man, it's a horror movie. It's a slasher horror movie. Just take it for a grain of salt. Just take it for what it is. That's how I looked at it. And even where the director and one of the other actresses get shot to death, and they fall through the window, and they both fall through the window. She falls on the ground of a gunshot wound, and the director falls out of the window and in through the living room window. Like, gravity has no idea how to make that happen, but somehow it happens, and he falls through it and gets impaled on a big piece of glass. It's still cool looking. It's funny. I had a good laugh at that, and I liked it. I liked that type of stuff because it was funny, goofy, made no sense, and it worked for me. The nice reveal at the end where she kind of confesses, that the guy was a pig, he was a monster, took advantage of everyone, and shouldn't be like that. So she would, and that's why she ended up killing him and the fellow actress. And then Patty, the comedian, goes, what are you talking about? You killed him? She's like, yeah, I killed him. And then she reveals that she killed the rest of the actresses, and they're both like, what? And then Patty ends up killing Samantha at the end there, and then has to go to a psych ward. And it's weird though, because I thought it was all a dream maybe at the first point. I'm like, wait a minute, was she pretending to be at this mansion and all that? But then I thought to myself, no, she killed everyone, ended up going insane, and now she's in a psych ward because she's insane. It's one of those twists that I was like, it's one of those bad edits. I was like, what? Did she imagine all of it? Nah, no, probably not. That's just, she killed everyone and she's in a psych ward, and now she's doing stand-up comedy in front of a bunch of mentally unstable people. So, hey, there you go. The big thing, one of the big things, the Hollywood perv deep dive that's in this movie was very surprising to me. John Stryker is the Harvey Weinstein of this movie. Now that's not relevant back then, but it is now. When you look at what's happened with him and the big reveals and female actors or actresses, coming out and standing up against directors like this. And yeah, it's happened in the past. Probably gonna happen. It's happening now. It's happening. It's gonna happen in the future. But Hollywood directors and producers taking advantage of women and women desperate enough, sell themselves out, sell their bodies their ideals for bigger and better things. And this movie does a really good job of showing that. You know, the ice skater that regrettably slept with John Stryker in this movie, and he walks away from her, and then John Stryker, taking advantage of a frightened, the guard is down actress, and then sleeps with her because she's mentally drained from finding a severed head in a toilet. The director leaving a very famous actress in a mental ward, you know, just abandonment because he didn't think that she was useful anymore. And there's there's a bunch of scenes. There's a scene where between two actresses where he wants the one actress to be pretend to be a male, and you're gonna have to want it, and it's an uncomfortable scene because he has them like touching each other and all that, and he's forcing his views on them. And then there's another scene where he tells her to put on the old lady mask, and he dares her in the old lady mask to seduce him, use his eyes and all that, creepy, gross stuff that actually happened in Hollywood, happened on movie sets and auditions. There was a lot of, there still is, but there's a lot of gross directors and producers out there in the past, that did a bunch of nasty things and got away with it. And it was cool to see this 1983 movie show that and bring it to the big screen. So it was cool by how deep they took it and how gross director Jonathan Stryker is, and John Vernon did a fantastic job of doing that, and Linda Thorsten and Samantha Eggar and Ann Ditchburn and Lynn Griffin and Leslie Donaldson were really cool of showing the different types of actresses that like some are okay with exploiting themselves and their body, some are not, some end up losing their minds and getting angry and violent with it, and it was cool to have these different types of personalities go through the movie. Out of all the movies, I would love to have this as a remake. If they can somehow remake this movie to kind of go with the storyline and the idea of this, to actually make it good, a very valuable movie to watch. Maybe it'd be cool to watch a movie of this view, of this conception, to be done now. I think it would be neat to have this creepy director taking advantage of 6 actresses. And he tries to take advantage of them, and sometimes he's successful, sometimes he isn't, and then one loses it, or one's about to lose it, or they do lose it, and then it turns into this horror slasher, and go for it, because it's some messaging in this goofy slasher movie. That surprised me, and it was a nice surprise at the end here, and and so when it comes right down to it, is and this is the most important thing of them all. Is it bootacular? Is it spootastic? Or is it eerily awesome? And at the end of the day, Curtains 1983 is bootacular. For all the production crap and horrors it went through, there's enough really cool, important messaging and good stuff in here to make me go, yeah, this is a pretty cool movie. It's a cool movie. At the end of the day, through mental health and all that good stuff, to show that, you know what? It's rewatchable. It's definitely watchable, and just enjoy it for what it is. So that's going to be it for this movie review of Curtains 1983. What'd you think of it? Leave a like, subscribe if you want as well. Let me know of the things I missed, because once again, I've seen this only once. This was the one time, so I probably missed a bunch of stuff. The research I did was not that extensive, so if you need to correct me on a few things, correct away on the comments below. That'll be it for this one, and we'll see you next video. Alright, we'll spook you later and we'll scare you next time.